Live.
Woohoo! Yay, we're live. Yay. All right. Hello, I am here today with Lynda Sunshine West. She is an 19 time award-winning international best-selling author and publisher. Did I leave anything out?
I think that's enough.
Okay. And so I wanted to just briefly talk about why, what was your first experience in the realm of becoming an author?
Well, first I'm trying to hit that little share button and it is not letting
Oh no!
me. Facebook, you're doing me wrong. So I'll go back later and I'll share. But first, Latara, thank you so much for having me here to talk about this. I'm a writer. I was never a writer. I always said for decades, I said, I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. I wasn't interested in reading or writing. At age 51, though, something changed. And that was that I met a life coach and I hired her. I worked with her. Her name is Liz Stone. She's just so absolutely amazing. And she introduced me to self-help books. And I started, reading one here, one there, and just picking up a golden nugget, and just applying all those to my tool belt. And I got to tell you, that really was instrumental in my own personal growth. Working with my life coach was amazing, of course, but the books I could keep going with, even, I still read, like I'm reading Think and Grow Rich again, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich for like the fourth time now. And so it really introduced me to this world of other people's stories could help me. So if that's the case, maybe my story can help somebody else. So that's kind of how it got started. And it's interesting because now I do love reading. I don't spend a lot of time reading, but I do love reading now. And now I absolutely love writing, something I don't believe I was inclined to do at the beginning of my life, but now I do it frequently, 19 times for books. You're muted. I know what you're saying is really amazing, but I can't hear you. You're muted.
Dead air, no. Sorry about that. So I was trying to stream while you were talking, so I'm sorry about that.
Oh, gotcha.
So yeah, what was your first book all about, by the way? Because this one, I love this story.
Well, the first book that I was in, I joined a collaboration book first, which a lot of people get started this way, and it's an amazing way to get started because you just share like one short story of your life. It's not sharing your whole brilliance and what have you. And so the first book that I was in is called Footsteps of the Fearless. Now, the reason I joined this book is because that year, it was 2015, I had already worked with my life coach for 5 months. I made a lot of shifts in my life, but I wanted to keep going. So January 1st of 2015, when I woke up, I said, oh my God, I have so many fears and fears are stopping me from living. I'm going to break through a fear every day this year. So it was kind of a random thing to do, but I kept the course and I did that for an entire year. Well, during that year, I ended up meeting somebody who would become my mentor. And I didn't know it at the time, of course, but he became my mentor. His name is Greg Reed, and he was writing a book called Footsteps of the Fearless. And he says, you're breaking through a fear. This is a perfect book for you to join. So why don't you join us? And I was just, first of all, I was so excited that he invited me, that he thought that I might be able to add value to that book. So that was my first thought. But then I got scared and I was like, why would anybody want to read anything I have to say? So then I went through that and then I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to jump in because there's something my mentor sees that I don't see, and I'm going to go ahead and go with it. So that was the very first book that I was in. It's a collaboration book. It's called Footsteps of the Fearless. And then after that, after the year was done, I broke through, 365 days in a row, breaking through fears. My mentor, again, he enters my life many, many times throughout my story. And he says, that's cool that you broke through a fear every day, this year, but what are you going to do about it? And I said, well, I think that's plenty. I don't think I need to do any more. What else could I do? And he said, no, you need to write a book about it. There's somebody out there who needs to hear your story. So I started writing my book, and it took me a year and a half to start it. And then after about a year and a half, I met a book coach that taught me the framework to finish it. So I sat down, I started it and finished it in a week. Well, here's where it gets interesting for me, is that I put it out there. I still was scared to put it out there, but I did it. I did it. So 24% of the world's population ever writes a book. Of the 24%, only 3% ever publish it. So I was a published author. Well, 3 months after I published that book, I was attending a big conference. There were like 400 people there. It was during a break, and some woman comes running over to me saying, I bought your book, The Year of Fears. I read the first 14 pages and I already broke through 5 fears. So it was in that moment that I realized the value of our stories, that each of us, no matter how insignificant we believe our own stories are, because we lived it, we don't really see the significance, is that there's somebody out there who needs to hear your story. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. My story actually transformed somebody's life. So that's actually the long story of it.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh. I've heard that story so many times, but every single time I still love it so much. And you mentioned that you wrote it in 5 days, which is awesome. And maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that part of it too. But you didn't just write it in 5 days, right? You actually wrote it in 365 days plus 5 days, because you had to live the story first, and then you had to write about what happened to you. So I think that maybe people take for granted what they've been through in their life, and how much their personal stories can make an impact on the lives of others. I know that you're just like a huge advocate of this. Can you tell everybody what your mission is?
Yes, our mission at Action Takers Publishing is to empower 5 million women and men to share their stories with the world to make a greater impact on the planet. And this mission statement is really carefully thought out, and making the impact. Here's the thing: we all make an impact throughout the day. We all do it, but are we making a positive impact, or are we making a negative impact? We can make impact. So we're doing that. So how can we make a greater impact? Like, how are we making that positive movement to help others to improve their own lives, so that we can just create a better planet? We've got a lot of crap going on in this world, all over the entire world. Like, I don't think there's any country that's unscathed right now of what's going on, just various things. The US might be a little worse than some others. I don't know what's like going on everywhere else, but I do know that there is turmoil throughout the world. And so if we can provide that value where we're able to help somebody, to uplift them, to help them motivate out of the space that they're in now to move into a better place, is through our stories that we do this. It was actually 7 days, Latara. So I wish it was in 5 days, but it was 7 days. The extra 2 days on that. But to write from start to finish, you mentioned something that I think is very important here. You said it actually took 365 days plus the 7, because I lived that 365 of breaking through the fears. However, it was just like the Chinese bamboo tree. Have you ever heard the story of the Chinese bamboo tree? Okay, so the Chinese bamboo tree, what happens is I'll share the short version of the story. There's this farmer who wants to have a crop that's going to keep giving to him year after year after year. And so he hears about the Chinese bamboo tree. He goes and he buys some seeds, and he plants these seeds, these bamboo seeds, throughout his crop. And he waters it every day. Every day he's out there watering it. After a year, nothing has come through the ground. His neighbors, other farmers, are looking at him just kind of laughing, snickering, like, look at him. He's watering nothing. He's watering the dirt. So year 2, same thing. Waters every single day. He's taking care, he's nurturing, he's taking care of his crop of nothing. It's dirt. And this goes on every day for 5 years. Well, after 5 years, it sprouts through the ground. Just little things sprouts through the ground. So his crop is starting to sprout. Well, in a matter of only 5 weeks, those bamboo trees grow to 80 feet high. So the question is, did it take 5 years, or did it take 5 weeks for the bamboo tree to grow? And I share this story because In my own life, the first 51 years of my life were spent with those fears. It was 1 year of breaking through them. So it was 52 years of all this crap that I was breaking through. But I did break through, and I did sprout just like that Chinese bamboo tree. And I remember as I first started this journey, when I heard that story, which was close to the beginning of breaking through those fears, I used to say, I'm 1 year old right now. I'm 2 years old right now, because I was learning and growing, and I was sprouting. And you know what? I'm still sprouting, and I will keep sprouting until I take that last breath. So which journey are you on? You are in a part of your journey. Time to share the story. Share it, get it out there, and make that greater impact on the planet.
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. I don't even know. I don't even know how to respond to that, because that's just such a powerful statement. Yeah, we've all lived our lives, and we're not going, hey, I'm going to be writing about this someday.
Right.
Most people don't think that way, right? But you're going to always be, no matter where you are in life, I think you're always going to be an inspiration for other people. So it's such a beautiful thing to share. And maybe you could tell us a little bit more about what inspired you to start doing collaboration books, and what type of impact you've made with them so far.
Okay, thank you. And before we go there, I'm going to do a little bit of a sidebar, because you reminded me of a story. So when you were mentioning an inspiration, I took that as you were talking to everybody, not just me. So, everybody out there, we are an inspiration to somebody. I remember Frank Shankwitz. He was the founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which he ended up being in my very first collaboration book. And he was standing up there on stage, and I was just looking at him like in awe. Here's a man that has granted over 500,000 wishes to children worldwide. And I was staring at him on the stage, and I was literally sitting in the front row. And I looked in there, and I was staring at him. He was sharing his story. He was sharing about the founding of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, how it happened. It's something that he never, ever considered in his life that he might ever do, but he ended up doing it. And he stood up there and he said, if I can be a hero, because people always call him a hero, hero, hero. He's like, I'm not really a hero. But he said, but wait a minute, if I am a hero, then you can be a hero too. And I heard those words and I said, am I a hero? Am I a hero? I said, maybe I am to somebody. I might not be, out there fighting the wars, but I'm a hero to somebody in some way, shape, or form. And maybe that is because I literally just sang a song that day and said, I can't remember my word. I have awareness. I have awareness now. I have awareness. I have awareness now. It's just like really goofy song that I wrote, off the cuff. But people are sending me messages saying, I have awareness. And it's so cool, because just like one little thing that I did that really felt fun for me in the moment, I didn't let my fear stop me. I just did it. And that one thing that really felt fun for me in the moment is really impacting people's lives. It may seem insignificant, but it's really that like one thing catches on top of the next, on top of the next. We're growing. We're all growing. So that wasn't even the story I want to share. I know we're kind of short on time, but I got to share this other story here. Okay, so I met this gentleman many years ago, and I really looked up to him. I would say, look up to him, because he's just, the way he thinks is like way beyond what I could ever think, because he's more like scientific, and he really thinks in this like on different planes. He's like living on a different plane mentally than I am, right? And so I meet him, and I'm just enthralled, and I'm listening to him, learning from it, and just listening and wanting to absorb. And so I'm absorbing. And so like after about 3 years, I saw him at an event. This is kind of funny what happened. So I saw him at this event, and he walked over to me and he said, hey, Lynda, how's everything going? I said, things are going great. And, this and that, we, chit chatted, small talk. And then he said, you know what? I got to tell you something. I said, what? Like, I'm all excited. What? He's leaning in, and he says, I got to tell you that I got to stop following you on Facebook. I'm going to unfriend you, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And he says, you're not living to your full potential. And it's really hard for me to watch it, because I know what's inside of you, and you're not tapping into that. And so I looked at him, I said, thank you so much, because I didn't know. We only know so much. Now I could have taken that information that he gave to me, and I could have said, screw you, you're an asshole. Sorry, not made for children. Screw you. But I took the other side and I said, wait a minute, this guy's teaching me an amazing lesson here. What is he teaching me? That I have a long way to go. I mean, how cool is that? So I've been on that journey. Before that, I was already on the journey. So here's something I realized the other day, because this topic comes up every once in a while. And I said, you know what? He'll never friend me back on Facebook. And here's why. Because he's constantly growing at a speed, faster than I probably am, because I'm still down here spinning. I'm spinning down here and he's spinning up here. He'll continue to grow, and I'll be always trying to catch up. So I will never be at that, like what he sees that I could be, because he'll always see me being able to be more. And I just want to share that because I think that's fascinating. If you really think about that, there are people out there in your life who see what you have to offer, and you don't see that yet, and you're not yet tapping into it. So I share that because the collaboration books, you mentioned the collaboration books. So I was in a collaboration book with my mentor. I wrote my own book because my mentor said I should, and that's why I did it. And then after that was done, I said, I was in a book, I wrote a book. What's my next natural state of progression? And I mentioned that because when that gentleman mentioned that I have room to grow, I'm looking at my life from a perspective as here's where I am today. Where can I possibly go further? And what step do I need to take? What's the one step I need to take today to get me over there? What's the one step I need to take tomorrow? And I'm constantly looking at that. This is how I live my life now. And so I said, I'm going to start putting together my own collaboration books. So I reached out to my mentor. I reached out to the founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I reached out to the founder of UGG Boots. And I reached out to the inventor of the credit card magnetic strip. 4 people I've met on this journey. And I said, I'm thinking of writing a book called Momentum. Will you join me on this journey? And all of them said, yes, of course. Just tell me what I need to do. Wow. And I was on this trajectory of starting something new, something I didn't know anything about, but I have a mentor, asked him for guidance, when I needed that guidance, and I went forward with it. I had no idea what I was going to do. I actually lost money on that book. But I loved it so much. I loved building the community, bringing the people together, which is what I absolutely love doing. And so after it was done and published, and we hit the #1 international bestseller status on that book, I said, that was fun. I'm going to do it again. So I did it with 2 more books. And, it's like just no turning back from there. I was just having a blast. Well, the next 2 books that I did, one was called The Fearless Entrepreneurs, and the other one is Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. I launched those 2 books 8 days apart. They both hit #1 international best-selling status in under 5 hours. At the end of the day, I looked at that. I know, it's so amazing. But I looked at that and I was like, wow, look what I did. And I was by myself. I have my VA who does she does a little bit of work here and there for me, 5 hours a week at that time. And so I was masterminding this whole thing, and look at the success it had. And I said, wow, this is awesome. I absolutely love this. I know what I'm doing, and I'm damn good at it. This is what I'm going to do. And I just put on full force, full speed ahead. And here we are 12 books later, and like a year and a half, so it's been amazing. Wow. And Latara, I just love having you on our team. And as you can tell, I'm a little bit excited about this. Anytime somebody asks me these questions, like, get so excited. But Latara's on our team, and so Latara has these great skills, of design and stuff, and putting things together, and organizational skills. So I just reached out and said, hey, will you join our team and help us with our affiliate program? Because that was our immediate need. So will you help us with our affiliate program, put it together? And so this way, I don't have to do any of it, because I wasn't doing any of it flat out. We had an affiliate program sitting over there waiting for me to do something. So I brought somebody in, right? Bring somebody in who has brilliance in this area, and bring them in and help them, like, let them shine in their area, and then let them help us shine. So I don't even know what the question was.
I love where you're going with this. It's better than any question I could have asked. but yeah, I love how your mind works, because you are always thinking in terms of win-win situations. Like everything you do, it's everybody benefits. And when you were talking earlier, I was thinking of one of the collaboration books you have out, or you're in the process of putting out right now, which is Raising All Tides, or what's the
Let's
name of
raise
it?
the tide. Let's raise the
Let's
tide.
Raise the Tide. Yeah. So that's kind of the same thing. We're all helping each other rise up together, and that's really what I love about your anthology books, is because each of these people probably wouldn't have written a book. I mean, there's some people that are go-getters and they're going to go publish their own book anyways, but just having one chapter in a book and then getting to say I am a best-selling author is just like, that's amazing. But I
Yeah.
think that it's a synergy that is created from these books.
Yeah, and it's like what I like about it is, again, I mentioned earlier, I love bringing people together. I've put on over 100 events myself, doing philanthropy work, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for charity, and because I love like event planning, and I was like, how can I incorporate what I like, that event planning piece, into the book publishing? And so we're thinking like, what can we do to do that? So we have events, right? We have events for our authors. We have events where we invite other people to join us, and so I get to incorporate that piece that I love about the event planning and bring it into our business, instead of saying I'm an event planner and I'm a book publisher. No, I'm a book publisher. This is what I do. But this is something that I absolutely love doing, and I incorporate it into my business. So I literally did this exercise where I wrote down all the things I love doing. And then I just tried to figure out like, how can I incorporate the majority of those things into what we do? Well, what I discovered on this journey is that, I am a community builder. I love bringing people together. And I remember one time, Latara has attended some of our in-person events before she moved to Central Time Zone. And when we did these in-person events, I remember one day I looked over, and I think there were about 43 women at that particular event. And it was during lunchtime, and everybody was broken off and in their own little pods, and connecting and all this stuff. And I looked over and I was like, nobody's talking to me. Why is nobody talking to me? And I had an like immediate reaction was, maybe they don't like me. That was my first immediate reaction. But then it hit me, it dawned on me that my purpose of being here isn't about me connecting with every single person. It was about me connecting every single person, like facilitating relationships, bringing people together. So when I look at the collaboration books, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm like, let me bring everybody together into one book. So we have this cohesiveness. It's a book that's has a theme to it. And then each of those, every single person inside of the book has a similar like, dislike, what have you, because they're in a themed book. And then we take that ecosystem and we blow it up into our full community. Now they have opportunities to connect with all the other people. So as I look at that, I'm like, wow, that event planning experience that I have, I'm putting on over, hundreds of events, all that experience, I can apply it to my business, but not be engulfed in like, I am an event planner. And so it's kind of interesting when we look at all the skills, the abilities, the techniques that we have, that we carry throughout our lives. I've had 49 jobs in 36 years. So with 49 jobs, you can imagine I amassed a little bit of skills, and so how can I incorporate the skills that I learned and love into my business? So that's kind of like what I've been creating here. And there was another thing you said there, Latara, about creating a win-win situation. I love creating win-win-win situation. And sometimes it's win-win-win-win, so it all depends on who's all involved.
Yep,
But I love
definitely.
like this opportunity to create, these larger wins for everybody, because the more we help others win, right? The rising tides lift all ships, that saying, is the more we help others, the more we help the planet.
Right.
The better, the higher our own personal vibration is, like when we're vibrating at a higher level because we're excited about something, then the more vibration, the higher vibration gets on the entire planet. So if we can learn how to move ourselves into that space, or be surrounded by those who are providing that space, which is what we provide at Action Takers Publishing.
Wow.
We provide a lot of energy. As you'll see, like every meeting you attend, there's going to be some energy, there's going to be some laughing, there's going to be some stuff going, there's going to be some learning, education, because we want to help our authors to succeed. And it's not just about a book. Actually, what we do is hardly even about the book at all. It's really about the community, and it's about lifting others to help them to get ahead, to move forward in their own lives and their own business. The book is a byproduct of all of that.
Exactly.
I'm on fire.
Yes, you are. I
Hey,
love it. I love it.
Kathy King, love Kathy King.
Let's share some of this fire out to all of the people that are watching. And if
Yeah,
you've been on the fence,
look, I see Kathy King there. She's Kathy King. She says, "I'm loving this interview. Super inspiring. I love it." So thank you so much for being here, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy. Thanks for watching.
Put more comments in
yeah,
this so we get some algorithm stuff going on.
Right. So yeah, I love that. So if you've been on the fence, if you have been trying to write a book or share your story out to the world, and you've been sitting on it for years, like so many people I know, then you need to get in on the action here with Action Takers Publishing, and let her energy set a fire under you and get going and take action. Can you tell us a little bit about, or a lot about, your ginormous BOGO package that you have going on? Because if somebody wants to jump in as a anthology book author, this is the time to do it. This really is the best time to do it.
Yeah, well, anytime is the best time for sure. But right now we have a special deal going on. So, you get 2 book chapters for the price of 1. So that's what makes this like the special time. Before we go there, because you mentioned, years, writing a book for years. One of our clients, she had started writing her book over 20 years ago. And it just sat on her computer, and I just asked her a simple question to ask, but implementation of course is the key. So I just asked her the simple question: how much time do you need to finish it? She said, well, I've already written 8 chapters, I only have 1 to go. So this happens. This is very common. This is why 24% write and 3% only 3% publish. Most people don't even finish what they start. I was that person. A year and a half, I started my book until I received a framework, a guide to follow that helped me to, okay, this is simple now that I know the framework and the guide. And so I just said, okay, so what will it take for you to take that hour? She said, well, I can do it right now because I don't have anything going on. I said, okay, cool. Get writing and I'll see you in an hour. We were on a Zoom call. I kicked her out and I said, come back in an hour. And she said, I finished it. So sometimes all it takes is that fire under our butt, right? To get us going. It takes that person who is motivated to help us to get motivated. Oftentimes in life, we have to reach out for motivation. Oftentimes we have to reach outwardly to get that inspiration. But are we in the right circle? Are we in the circle of people who will motivate us, who will inspire us, who will hold our feet to the fire, who will say, come back in an hour and tell me how you've done? That's the key here. There's so much negativity in this world. It's all over the place. So what are we doing? Who are we surrounding ourselves with? And before I go to that BOGO offer, I'll share this one other thing is, it's about 8 years ago. I was speaking in front of an audience, and just out of my mouth came this weird phrase that I thought was weird at the time. And it was that I said, you know what? I've made a personal life declaration, and that is that I'm going to spend the rest of my life having as much fun as possible, hanging out with positive and uplifting people who are making a positive impact on the planet. And I have been on that journey ever since then. So I surround myself by positive, uplifting people because I want to be and remain a positive and uplifting people. So I've chosen who I will spend my time with. So, okay, so let's just share. Let's see. By the grace of God, Lynda will be publishing my book. That's right, Kathy. We will be doing it.
Yes!
That's right. You declared it right here, right now, that we will be publishing your book. So you got to get writing it. You got to get writing it. Yes. Okay. So at Action Takers Publishing, we do every once in a while we'll have a special go on. And what we have right now is a buy one chapter, get one chapter free. What this means is that you write one chapter in one book, you write one chapter in another book. We have currently, I think, about 7 or 8 titles that we're working with that we've made public, but we have about 70 titles in my back pocket just waiting to come out, right? We bring them out one at a time. And so we are looking for authors to fill those books, and we'd love to have you on that journey with us. So that BOGO special currently, I'll give the date because I like to make sure I do this. Today is 2323, February 3rd of 2023. And so on 2323, as of this date, this BOGO special is $1,499. You buy one chapter, you get to join one chapter for free. And we're throwing in a bonus chapter of one of our books called Action Takers Who Get Shit Done. So if you're interested in writing, you're like, I'm kind of on the fence. I'm not sure what to do, where to get started. This is really a great way for you to get your message out there to make that greater impact. And it's only in one chapter. These are standalone chapters. This is your story. We want to hear your story from the horse's mouth. Why did I say horse's mouth? I don't know, because they don't really talk, but if they did, they would be sharing your story. Okay. So like, who comes up with these things? Dara, hello. Oh, how can you join us? Do you want to know how you can join us? Well, and this BOGO special expires on February 14th. So Latara has a link that she can drop in the comments there, because you have a special link. We do have our affiliate program, as I mentioned earlier, which Latara is in charge of. And so we want Latara to be able to take advantage or benefit. I'll use that term, benefit if you end up signing up using Latara's link. Not only will you get 10% off, but Latara will make some money as well. And so let's, help Latara out, but also help you to get your story into the world. We got win, win, win right there. Win, win, win.
There we go. There's the win, win, win we're talking about. Exactly.
Yeah. They win by sharing their story. Here's the thing. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning, our stories make an impact. They do make an impact. So if you can get your story into the hands of somebody who needed to hear that message right now, and you help to transform their life, how will that make you feel? How will that make you feel? Well, I'm going to tell you, Cynthia is one of our books. Actually, Dara Bose, she put together a book called She is an Overcomer. And Cynthia was in our book. And she was like, I'm just a housewife, I don't really have much of a story. And then she ended up finding out that people wanted to hear her story because we interviewed her on launch day. She was on other people's platforms, different podcast platforms, as well as live platforms. And people started inviting her to be on their shows. And then she ended up doing a book signing event. I mean, it just went from this like, I don't really have much of a story to this person who loves sharing her story. So you just never know what impact you're going to make until you step outside of your comfort zone. Latara, I'm on fire.
That the woman you're talking about is right here in the chat right now. I wish you could come on Zoom with us, but I know you only have a few minutes left. So let me just bust out all of the goodies that go along with this, because it's not just two chapters. If you need help with actually getting across that finish line, just like Lynda was talking about, where this lady sat on her book for 20 years and she just needed one more hour. She just needed somebody to hold her hand and push her forward just a little bit, motivate her enough to get through that last hour to get her book finished. That is monumental. And if you're stuck, you don't know where to start, you're fumbling through the weeds, find a guide like Lynda who's already been there and she knows the exact path to take. She's going to walk you through the step-by-step, because I don't even know if Lynda wanted me to share this, but when you get the 2 chapters plus the that third bonus chapter, you also get a live book course or book writing class, where Lynda's going to help you actually write your either your chapter or your 2 chapters or 3 chapters or your whole book, because that's possible. And I know this because she's done this multiple times and she knows what she's talking about. So the class is included in that, and that's a $500 value. Let's see if I can go through all these bonuses really quick here.
And I'll share that is our how to write publish, market, and monetize your book course that we're putting on. And that's being held March 27th through 29th. We're offering that for $500 for people who are not our authors, but our authors get to take advantage of all of our bonuses. So yeah, go on, Latara. You're rocking it, girl.
Yes, you get an amazing collection of author bonuses with this that includes a year in your mastermind. Now that alone just seems like mind-boggling to me, because you could charge tens of thousands of dollars just for this mastermind, where all of the authors are going to come together once a month, correct?
Yes,
And
yeah.
we're gonna all grow together in success, and help each other work through our struggles. And can you tell us a little bit more about the mastermind? I'm excited.
Yeah, the mastermind is called the Authors Impact Mastermind, because we're all about making impact. As I mentioned, my declaration for my life. And first of all, I'm not sure if you can see people in the background, but is Dara joining us? So look for her if she joins us. I shared the link with her. Here she is. Awesome.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
So the Authors Impact Mastermind is all about making an impact with your story. And good to see you. You're making an impact with your story. We meet once a month, and this is $150 a month to people on the outside. But if you're one of our authors, you get this as a special bonus. And this is for all of our authors. We offer this to them. And really it's about coming together to brainstorm ideas to see how you can continue to make that greater impact. Maybe you're stumped in your business and you don't know where to go, but we're going to help you with that. I ran a women's mastermind for 6 years. And so I know I'm good at facilitating this, and we're going to do what we can to help you. Welcome, Dara. Oh my gosh.
Yes, Dara, hi.
Hey, I was just on and I'm cooking dinner and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I forgot they were doing this tonight. And I was like, jumping in there, and you're like, can you join? And I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. Just do it anyway. Get over the fear and just go anyway, like Lynda says.
Yes,
just do it.
Action taker in action right here. In the flesh.
Get it done. So
and you're a fine example of what we're talking about here, right? Dara, can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, so I actually had my own book, and it's still in the works, and then this opportunity came along, and I was able to get in another book that was by Sherry Leopold. I have all of them right here. Oh my goodness. So I was actually to get in a book called Wellness for Winners. So I got in that book, and it was just an amazing experience. And I was like, okay, well, I'm really a published author. This really happened. Let's do this again. So I was in the book I read. And then I said, you know what? This is so much fun. Like, this is so fun. It's just one chapter. You don't have to worry about, you don't have to have a novel. You don't have to have an entire story to tell. You're just telling one little chapter in a book. So it makes it so easy to take that initial step, especially if you're thinking about you want to be an author, but you're really like, I don't really know how to do it. Just one chapter at a time. Right. And so that's what's the beauty about this whole thing that you guys are doing, Action Takers, is these books that are just one chapter at a time. And then I went to Lynda and Sally, and I was like, I have this idea for a book. And then She Is an Overcomer was born. So I have 3 books. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. I have published with Action Takers Publishing, and all of them are #1 international bestsellers on Amazon. They know what they're doing, that you are in good hands. 5 stars, highly recommend them as a publisher. And if you ever feel stuck during the process, they're there to help you. Like, it is such a seamless journey, and they make it so easy. And most of all, like Lynda was saying, I want to have fun. They make it fun. So fun. That's my testimony.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I'm so glad that you hopped on here. This was a beautiful surprise.
And what I love about that is, what Sally says, she's our vice president of author development. See you later. Husband's leaving. She's our vice president of author development, and she hops on calls with our authors to help them through those stumbling blocks they're having, writer's block or what have you. But she says, collaboration books are like potato chips. No one can eat just one.
Exactly.
Just gonna
Exactly.
have to coin
True
that phrase
facts.
big time. Yeah, and see, Dara said, I have an idea, right? She was thinking of putting together her own. And so the point there is that it's not just like, we're not the only ones that are putting together these books. So we do have other people who come to us and say, I have a community of people. I would like to invite them to be in my book. Will you guys put it together? And the answer is, heck yes, if it fits our genre. You know, it has to fit. It can't be anything icky, you know.
Right.
It has to be something that we enjoy. You know, we're reading these chapters, so we want to make sure that it's something, you know, again, positive, motivational, uplifting. That's what we're looking for. So Dara's book, She is an Overcomer, you know, all the women in that book, that was women only. All the women in that book, you know, they learn to tap into God, to tap into their faith, to move forward through you know, challenges. And so it's really great to read those stories. So that's what we're looking for.
Beautiful. Awesome.
What time is it? Oh
So
shoot, I
much.
have a call.
It's
I gotta
time
go
for you
to.
to go.
Yeah.
Lynda has a curfew.
I have a curfew. Yeah. The pumpkin.
Well, I'll let
Well,
you
thank
ladies
you so much.
finish up, but it was so great being here and just
Yes,
jumping in
join us.
and conquering my fear and saying, I'm a hot mess, but I'm going to go live anyway because I have a story to tell.
Woo!
So,
You look
and my voice
So
amazing.
matters.
glad you did.
Yes, it does.
Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, Dara.
Thank you so much. Bye. Have a great night. And thank you, Lynda, for spending time with us. I know you got to run, but I'm really glad that you had time to jump on here and say hi. And I'll let you go now so you're not late for your next thing.
Yes. And, you know, if you want to join us, go to actiontakerspublishing.com/BOGO !REF equals Latara Dragoo. And you'll then enter the words Latara Dragoo for a discount. You get a 10% off. But you got to enter that discount code Latara Dragoo to get that 10% off. And that expires on February 14th. We hope to see you in some of our books, you know, one or more books. We would love to have your story so that you can make a greater impact on the planet and joining us at Action Takers Publishing. I got to go, Latara. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.